Yesterday's price is not today's price. Wait, that's the intro to a different podcast. This is the R&B Fantasy podcast. I'm Boyd, joined by Ryan. How you doing today,
How we
Ryan?
doing? I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I got my cat on me, so good day.
Nice. This is the one time my cat isn't on my lap, so that's quite interesting. Roles are
And
reversed here.
if you don't know, I was doing a little trolling to Dynasty Market Watch. Check them out. They're awesome. They're another podcast out there. Shout out to Brian. I just wanted to
hmm
have a little fun with the intro today. And what do we have in store today, Ryan?
Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter one. We're just going to, discuss some things going on in free agency, specifically the franchise tags and people that haven't been franchise tagged, and kind of, speculate on where they could land and the fantasy implications for if they land anywhere else than where they just left from. And then we're going to just be discussing briefly some of the combine, which is happening this weekend. So that'll be next week's discussion is the results of that, and we'll have more in store for that week.
Exciting stuff! Pew 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 pew! Explosions!
All right, so you want to kick it away with your boy T. Higgins? I know you love your boy.
The only confirmed franchise tag so far, T Higgins. So he's staying. He's staying in Cincy. I mean, he could get traded. They could do a tag and trade, but assuming they won't trade him, I'm assuming they're gonna want to keep that offense together. I'm really excited about it. I honestly don't have much to say. I'm just kind of it's. I think he's undervalued, and I think staying here where he's proven his upside and like shown up what he can flash. Uh, yeah, obviously, I hope Joe Burrow stays healthy. It's kind of unlucky that he's had a couple unhealthy years, but I think overall the upside's huge with T Higgins. He's still really young, and his cost just keeps going down because people are not a fan of the fact that he's gotten hurt. But I don't really think injury prone is too real unless you're. I guess certain players seem to always get hurt. I mean, Cam Akers might be injury prone, but I don't know. I am interested in buying T Higgins. I've traded Jordan Addison for him. I think I traded Jaden Reed for him in another league. I think he's good to buy at cost.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this move definitely helps everyone involved in the Bengals offense. I think it helps Joe Burrow, obviously, because he has another weapon. I think it just helps T. Higgins maintain his value because who knows what would happen if he signed somewhere else,
Yeah,
if he needed like a year to adjust. This kind of just gives a little more security in his production for this year. And obviously, Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase, but it definitely helps to have another, person that's on the field that can draw, more defensive coverage. So I think all around this is definitely just, it's rather neutral for dynasty purposes. It kind of gives more security in the situation, but it's going to be no real difference unless they draft somebody at the tight end position or a wide receiver position that could take away something, but I doubt that.
yeah, you got paid that top 10 money. It's a lot of cash.
Yeah, it is.
Lot
It,
of
it definitely is a
cash.
lot of money.
Speaking of a lot of cash, that's what the Colts are gonna have to pay Michael Pittman. There. Oh, that segue
hmm
though. Oh,
Yeah,
Colts are gonna have to pay
so
that man.
smooth.
I think I saw that. Maybe it was Ursay or Ballard, one of the two. They said that Michael Pittman is not leaving, and I mean, I'm just gonna trust their word for it. I think they're gonna pay him. Either it's a tag or it's an extension. I think he's sticking around in the Colts jersey for another season.
Yeah, I believe they did come out and say that regardless of what ends up happening, he is going
Yep.
to be a Colt next year. I think
So they're tagging him at least.
yeah, they're going to tag him if they can't reach a deal before the tags need to be in. So hopefully, Michael Pittman can, stay in Indianapolis. I know that with AR coming back, we don't really know how it's going to be because obviously he had Gardner Minshew
Hey, he
throwing
was
to him most
feasting
of
in the
all last
first
year.
2 games, though. He was doing real well, so
Yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't
exactly.
scare me too much.
No, it definitely doesn't scare me at all either. But I'd probably be more concerned if he signed somewhere else. He's one of those
Yeah,
guys that
yeah,
he's not like the super top elite guy, so I would be more concerned over his future production if he actually ended up going somewhere else. So I think this is definitely another positive, which doesn't always happen with free agency.
yeah, I mean, if it's not broke,
As
don't fix it, and he's had some good years in Indianapolis, and
right,
I just like you said, like, the unknown of going somewhere else is obviously really exciting to a lot of people. Like, people like that 'cause, it's something that they haven't seen yet. So it could
hmm
be 100 points per game in their head, but we know he can produce here. We know that he can be, at least a very good wide receiver too for fantasy purposes. I like it.
right. No, I definitely agree with that. Now, for things that are not so positive, we have quite the selection of veteran running backs here in free agency that have all been said that they're not going to be tagged. Now, I look at these names and I see a mixture of guys that I'm confident will be fine, and then guys that I'm afraid are going to take a deep dive into irrelevance like Dalvin Cook did. Um, I don't know what's going to happen with Derrick Henry. If he signs somewhere that is more of a contending roster, I would be very much like kind of bullish on him. But as of right now, I'd be looking to get him for as cheap as possible, regardless of where he goes, because he is he 30 now? Has he
Yeah,
hit the 30 mark? Yeah.
yeah.
So he's definitely going to be very, very cheap. Like if you can get him for a mid second, I would potentially sauce it that way. If you're in that stage of basically close to contending. But I don't know what your thoughts are on Henry, but I think out of this bunch, besides Saquon, he was the one that I'm looking to actually buy.
Yeah, I mean, Henry's one of the best running backs of all time. Those guys kind of just seem to keep going. I understand like the age cliff's a real thing and the miles is a real thing, but I think talent's also a real thing, and Derrick Henry is just one talented ass dude. Frank Gore rode that shit till the wheels fell off. I don't see Derrick Henry doing anything different. I think he's a good buy. His price is really cheap for what his upside is. And obviously nobody likes to roster running back in Dynasty, but you have to roster somebody, and if you're contending, Derrick Henry is a pretty good guy to roster.
Mhm. I agree. I don't think I'm gonna say the same about Eckler though. Like, yeah, Eckler definitely has the like the receiving upside to keep him within relevance, but he did not look that good last year in terms of his rushing abilities. He just looked very, very slow, not as nimble, and I think that he's definitely hitting that cliff very soon. So I think he may go somewhere where he's going to be in a committee potentially. I don't know if he's going to end up being a lead back anywhere. Do you think he'll be
Yeah,
back in LA? Because I don't think
uh,
he will, just because of
I don't
their
think,
cap
yeah,
situation.
I think he's done in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
That's not, like if he went to Houston and took over like a receiving back role, that'd be cool. But like their offense didn't really use that much last year. Like I don't know. I just his cost is pretty much the same as Derrick Henry, so I think I'd just rather have Derrick Henry.
Right,
It just concerns me because Eckler was never like that elite top tier like rusher.
right.
So it like the aging thing concerns me a little more. But he's a damn good receiver, he's damn good targeter, and PPR, if he's cheap enough, I'm interested.
Hmm. Yeah, he could be almost like the what's a good comp for it? Like a Jerick McKinnon, like how he was. Like obviously not to the same extent that he was a league winner a couple seasons ago, but he would just be that.
Eckler could
He
still
would.
be really good. He could still be a league
Yeah,
winner.
exactly.
I just don't think I just don't think he's gonna end up in the right situation for that like it
Right.
was the past few years and as a Charger. Like I just don't think
Hmm.
he's gonna be able to get that again. While I think Derrick Henry could still at least be a top 12 running back. Like I'm pretty confident in that.
Right. I think the days of Eckler getting more than 20 touches a game are over. That that I would feel
Sad
close.
times.
That is very sad just because of how good he's been. Speaking of Houston that you had mentioned before, there was actually rumors today. Obviously, we don't know how true the reports are, but Saquon is looking to go to Houston and team up with CJ Stroud, which that would be absolutely monumental because their O line is above average, and he's in a significantly better offense than he was in New York, which could definitely help with him with getting touchdowns. And
40
he looked,
touchdowns minimum.
yeah, he's gonna break LT's record if he goes there. But in all seriousness, like he will still be Saquon Barkley regardless of where he goes. He doesn't look like he's cooked in any way. There's no the only thing that is concerning about Saquon is the potential for injury, but that's with any running back. So if you can get him for any less than a first round pick, like at the beginning of the second, I would do that. Like Boyd got him for two mid seconds in a league. Like that's just ridiculous. Like if you can do that, like in any way, you need to do that. Like regardless of if you're contending or not, because you could easily flip him for more during the season.
Yeah,
Like
I
take
love Saquon
advantage of the
Barkley.
rookie hype.
I bought a lot of Saquon Barkley. I think I bought like three times this offseason.
Hmm.
And I was doing a lot of trades. I did like
Yeah, you've been
23
on a tear.
trades in February. But it's the last
Jeez.
day of February as we record this. A lot of trades this month. Saquon was involved in at least three 4, something like that of them, and I
Mhm.
think he's a great buy. I've traded for him a lot. I have drafted him a lot in my best balls that I've been doing. I've done like 12 of them so far. I think I've drafted Saquon in round 2 at least like 4 times, maybe 5. Like he's a target of mine. He's going like late round 2, which I think is just silly for redraft. And dynasty, I mean, I think he's going to end up in a good situation because I don't think Saquon Barkley is going to want to spend another year in a bad situation. He's done that way
No.
too long in his career, and his upside is so immense. I'm really, really interested in buying Saquon. I like
Right,
it.
and he
Jordan
just came off a very
Addison
good year.
for Saquon plus seems very doable,
Mhm.
um, especially like ADP wise. So that's something I would be interested in.
Yeah, he went in what, the 6th round of our startup or the 5th?
Yeah, it was like 6'11", I want to say
Okay.
6'12", maybe. I
Yeah,
think it was 6'12".
wi that's an insane discount for a guy who just came off an insane season with a very piss poor team.
He went 6'03" in the one I'm in right now. So
Gotcha.
he went Addison went 5'08", Saquon went 6'03". I would prefer Saquon straight up, but that's probably not very
Mhm,
popular considering the fact that Addison's a young wide receiver. So you should probably be able to get a little plus on top, maybe even if it's just a fourth,
mhm. Right. So just to
which is
kinda
nothing.
recap as we're going through these, like Derrick Henry, we see as a buy. Austin Eckler, if you can get him for super cheap, I would either buy or hold him. Saquon, obviously, we're looking to buy anywhere we can. Um, I don't know about Tony Pollard. He's kinda just there. Like, he's just kinda hanging out. I don't really know what to do with him. I don't have him anywhere, and I don't know if I wanna go out and buy him because I think that he out of all of these, he's the most expensive,
Yep,
at least
yep.
from what I have just discovered from just kind of poking around to see these running backs prices. And I have the least conviction out of all of them, out of all 5 of these guys that I've listed here, that he's going to be any sort of be the RB1 that he was like the past couple years. But did he finished top 12 this year, right? Or did he just
It
finish
was
outside of
like
it?
14 overall. I
Yeah.
don't know what his points per game was though.
Yeah. So he came off like I know that this past year was a little bit of a letdown, even though it was sort of productive. But his price is a little bit too high for my liking. Like, there's no one that I was able to kind of get for an early mid second for him, and even then, I wouldn't give an early second for him as of right now, just because I'm not really convinced of where he's going. I don't know if you saw anything, but did you see any rumors of where he could potentially go or where he might fit well?
I haven't seen
Because I know that
anything.
everyone's like every running back is rumored to go to the Ravens just because of the Ravens, but
I feel like
they
he
may
just
freaking
resigns with
franchise us
Dallas.
Edwards. He's just
I
gonna
think he'll.
resign with Dallas?
I think he'll just resign with Dallas. I have literally nothing I'm basing off of besides vibes, but
Mhm.
I think they'll want to bring him back, and I think that he'll want to go back. I don't think he had that bad of a year as everyone says. He is the most pricey though, and that's the part. Well,
Yeah.
maybe Jacobs is higher. Jacobs is okay. Sorry, I forgot about Jacobs on the list. Of the ones we talked about so far, though, he's the priciest, and
Mhm.
it's not a price that I'm like not willing to pay. Like I'm not active. If I think I have a couple Pollards, I'm not actively trying to sell him because I'm pretty confident I could probably get more value in season. But so like that's a kind of high end with a lot of running backs. So I just want to hold or buy rather than sell at this point because I think a lot of spikes come during season for running backs.
Mhm.
But it's not like in a startup. Like I'm gonna take like the 201, the 202 like over him. I take Camaro over him for sure. Ramondre, probably Najee. Maybe Montgomery. I think I'd take Montgomery.
Mhm.
I don't think I would do Mixon. I think I'd prefer Pollard over Mixon. Brian Robinson, I'm going Pollard. Like I'm doing him over Henry too. But obviously, like I want Saquon.
Mhm.
I want Jacobs over him of the ones that we were going to talk about. Dude, I totally forgot Saquon listed too. He's like the third most expensive on this list. I can't even like my brain doesn't work.
Mhm.
Ugh. Some
Yeah,
listeners like it's like no Saquon's the most expensive as they're watching the video. Like no, no.
it all depends on who you're in the leagues with because we're in leagues with very
True.
similar people. Half my leagues are with Boyd, so it's like we have a very there's a lot of people have a similar mindset, so you kinda have to, know your league to kind of traverse that sort of land.
Yeah, every market is different. Like every league, it's on a subsidized market, and you really have to know the
Mhm.
people in it to be able to make deals.
But I've seen some wild trades. Like today, just like this is completely unrelated, but I saw Sam Laporta like get traded for Will Levis and Kyle Pitts, and that was a very bizarre trade to me. I uh
I like the
I
Pitts
don't know
side of
what to
that.
think. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. I think that was a pretty fair deal, but like we wouldn't see stuff like that in our leagues. Like our leagues are like all much smaller deals. And then you have
Yeah,
my three-way deal that we did in that one league.
yeah, it's
That
the
absolute
first 3-person trade I've ever
gargantuan.
seen.
and it was a hefty one.
Yeah, that was the first third person I'd seen.
Hmm. And honestly, I think in terms of running backs, this kind of highlights an overarching thing. I would never sell running backs at this point because this is the lowest they are. The only running backs that you could probably sell for the price that they're worth are Gibbs, Bijan, Brees Hall, and probably just ETN. Maybe Jonathan Taylor.
Maybe
Like those top
CMC,
five.
Achan.
Yeah, I mean, Achan is kind of one of those things where like some people aren't fully
Yeah,
committed
the
to
people who
him.
are really in them.
Right. You just have to be in a league with one of those and know that he's going to buy it. But like out of those, yeah. But I think HN like would be one of those ones where I wouldn't be looking to sell just because I think he's going to move way up. Whereas like
Hmm.
those other guys, I think they've gotten to their price point, like their
Yeah,
peak.
like
I'm not
yeah.
saying that they can't produce
Like if
for
you can
a few
get
years.
something involving Kyler, I would be interested in that. Like if
Yeah.
you need a quarterback, like I would love to flip any of them for Kyler. Just probably a hot take, I guess. I don't know. I think Kyler is really good
Mhm.
and really underrated. So
I mean, if you're in a super flex and you can flip a running back for a quarterback,
who
then like an
plays
elite
one
quarterback.
quarterback?
I mean, I'm in one and it's brutal, and I don't know if I'm going to be in it for another year
I'm
because the
just here to
rookie drafts
troll.
are just so annoying. The rookie
Yeah,
drafts
I
are so
bet.
annoying.
I bet.
Because like after like the first like top 3 or 4, it's just like, I don't even wanna pick these. Like the first round picks are just way less more valuable because there's like, there's not the quarterbacks to push
Yeah,
the positional players back
which is yeah,
further, so you get less
not
picking.
for me. It's not for
Um,
me. Teach their own
yeah.
though.
There's also kickers and defenses in this league too, so that's kinda interesting. It's
Okay,
very, very
okay,
interesting.
okay, okay. Can you believe that?
Uh,
He can't believe it. He's too
Alright,
stunned to speak.
who's that pancake?
That's big boy right there. Says right
And the
there,
chunky guy.
big boy.
Oh, oh, oh. Thought you were pointing at your cat.
Nope, nope.
No.
Point at the painting. All right, what's next? Josh Jacobs.
Alright, yeah.
I
Moving
like
on
Josh
to Josh
Jacobs.
Jacobs. I personally like I'm kind of more on Josh Jacobs than I am Pollard just because I'm more convinced that Josh Jacobs is going to re-sign with the Raiders. I do think that he will test free agency, but I think ultimately he'll probably end up taking a smaller deal with the Raiders just because I don't think there's going to be much of a market for him to pay his price point, and they're probably more looking to bring him back because he's definitely a better option than some of the running backs within this class. But I don't know what your thoughts are on Josh Jacobs. I know that you're not the biggest fan of him. You're not.
No,
I
I
know you
like
don't
Josh
hate him,
Jacobs
but
a lot. I like Josh Jacobs a lot. I distinctly remember that like I drafted a lot of him the year before the huge breakout. So that
Mhm,
breakout year was like really vindicating. I was like, yes,
gotcha.
he's doing it. Oh, someone
I
picked up my
just don't see
sleeper
you
draft.
have him anywhere, so that's just why I thought you
Christian
weren't a fan
Kirk
of him.
804. That's what the pick was, just my draft. Just saying.
Well,
Sorry.
you just made that
No,
pick.
I didn't. Somebody else did.
Oh,
All right, we're off track though. Jacobs, I would like for him to resign. I want him to get a receiving touchdown in a Las Vegas Raiders uniform.
yeah, that would be nice.
He needs one.
He needs one. He doesn't have a single
Yep.
one in his career,
And not a
correct?
single one.
I was gonna say that man is due for one. The old gambling, he's due for it. He's due.
I have 8 shares of Josh Jacobs. I was
Okay, and I
investigating
don't
on
know
my
if they're
phone.
in any leagues of mine.
Probably not. But yeah, 8 of them. I do like me some Josh Jacobs. I would like for him to stay as a
Gotcha.
Raider. I think the offense needs the way the offense was set up, at least last year, seems like they really like to pound the rock. And I think last year was a little bit of an off year for Jacobs, but he still was a solid fantasy back. Still, it wasn't like the worst thing on earth. It wasn't as bad as Tony Pollard, like on field, in my opinion. Um, yeah, sign that boy
Hmm.
at
And also,
least for
if you
two
have some,
years.
yeah, and if you have Zamir White, I would be looking to get rid of him as soon as possible. Like any of these backups outside of maybe Tajee Spears, I would look to sell immediately if you can for anything.
He's got good
I know that
contingent
because
upside though.
yeah, but if you can get like any because I saw Zamir White go for like the 204. I would rather have the 204 than Zamir White. Like yeah, that's in like a league that we don't have. We don't see those deals that often in our leagues
That's
we have
wild.
together. But people like some people are just like willing to overpay. Like, and you'll find those people if you're not in with Twitter degens like we are. So that's just kind of
I love my
that's just
Twitter
kind of where we're
degens.
at. Oh yeah, we love them.
It's actually call
I
him
know.
X.
I I know Vic is very much against being with a lot of people on Twitter, but
Nah, we're Twitter degens.
conversation for another day.
Woohoo! It's the no
All right.
bullshit.
So moving on to the combine. So as we are recording this, the combine is going on, but as of right now, obviously it's on a Thursday, so we haven't seen the positional players do any of their drills yet, which is sad. But we get
It's a
to
bummer.
look at them on the weekend. And
Saw some linebackers run today.
yeah, we did. We also saw a guy that ran like a 4.8 with 365 pounds on his body, which was like ridiculous. Yeah, this man is running faster than I am, and he's
Boy
like
was
triple my
cooking.
size.
He was cooking. And
So
then the guy who went after him had a good speed, but the commentator cooked him. He was like, can't go after that guy.
I didn't even hear that.
I love commentators. They just say the dumbest shit. Just like me, for real.
Well, yeah, I mean, realistically, you have to keep the combine entertaining because at the end of the day, unless like you're really invested in the sport, it's just like these dudes are just running basic drills.
Yeah, just running around in the grass.
We want to see our favorite player run his 40. Like, it looks so stupid.
Side note,
but
the league episode where Kevin participates in the combine is hilarious.
See,
Like
I haven't seen the league.
Dude, you gotta watch it. I think it's like season 3. Somebody that's listening has watched it, and they're gonna agree with me that it's hilarious.
I have to give that a look when I have the time. I know you've said that for multiple years, and I just
What got me
never
into fantasy
watched it.
football when I was like 13.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of the actual combine itself, we're going to kind of just go over what we're looking for, and then next week we'll be going over the results. So this will be a little bit of a briefer segment, but in terms of what we're looking for running backs, we're more interested really in their 40-yard dash times and then just their measurables like their height and weight, and more so their BMIs, because as we know, if running backs are too slow, they typically don't. It doesn't translate to them being like fantastic fantasy backs. It doesn't say they're ever going to that they're never going to have fantasy relevance, but it's very indicative that if they don't run, what is it, below a 4.6, that they just, it's like if they're above 200 pounds, they need to run below a 4.6, whereas if they're under 200 pounds, they need to run below a 4.5. That's usually how it plays out. And they also have to have, the receiving upside, which is separate from the combine. But when we look at prospects, we want to look at every single little thing. And obviously, the 40-yard dash time, regardless of it being indicative of fantasy success, it really is highly correlated with draft capital for running backs. It's definitely overvalued by teams, but as we know that if a running back is drafted that high, they're going to get the volume because their team is very committed to them. So that also can translate to fantasy success. So it's kind of one of those things where the 40 is more so because it overvalues guys that'll get high volume, which translates to fantasy success, but they also need to be good on the field in order to have those breakaway runs. So I kind of just rambled on for quite a bit. I don't know if you have anything to add on what you look for in running backs at the combine.
I just got pimp slapped with information.
Yeah, I just kind of just blurted all that out. I kind of
You have that shit memorized or what? Holy! I look for exactly like you pretty much said everything I could possibly say. To wide receivers, what do you want to look for in wide receivers?
All right, you take this.
Oh wait,
just did the whole running back.
First, let's I just want to say shout out to Math Bomb on Twitter. It's a great place for you to see how the combine kind of stats equal into a raw athletic score, RAS. It's really awesome. Great follow. Check it out. Especially helps during draft season, so you have an idea of how athletic someone is before you take them.
Yep, we'll leave the link down in the description for you, so y'all can go check that out and have an easy finding of it.
Twitter.com/mathbomb. If you're still using the website, it's called Twitter still. That's all I'm saying. All right. Wide receivers. So it's kind of less more of the same. We're looking for the 40, looking for the measurables. We want to see how tall they are. A lot of people like bigger wide receivers, and then we want to see how they do with the 3 cones. That way, we see how agile they are and how quick they can move.
Right, and the 40 is more so we don't care if they're not that fast. We've seen plenty of non-super
John Ross,
well,
Jameson Williams, super fast. Those guys.
Exactly.
Those guys just run to clear the field.
Right, Mike Evans and Keenan Allen are always prime examples. They had really good 3 cones. They're really good route runners, but they're just not the most agile. But they're also big target hogs that get separation. So as long as they have other ways of being able to be effective on the field, speed is not everything with wide receivers. However, if they're an extremely productive wide receiver and very talented, and they run a good 40, that's like almost like adding fuel to a fire because that just
We like that.
unlocks another level of
That's called
upside.
a player I'll use in Madden.
Yep, exactly. Like Calvin Johnson, for example, like that man was unstoppable because of his raw athleticism and
Fucking
his
triple covered him. Still
ability
doesn't
to
work.
ability to play football. Like, but then you have, like you had mentioned before, you have the John Rosses, you have the Jamison Williams. I'm
Yeah, the
trying to
field
think of
stretchers.
other super fast wide
Jakeem
receivers. Like, I
Grant
mean,
Sr.
yes, that was the one. I'm thinking of like all those guys in Madden that have like crazy speed, but
Yo,
just were
Jakeem Grant
never anything.
Sr. This doesn't even matter for the combine thing. Jakeem Grant Sr. I was getting that boy in Madden before he was a senior. Like I swear, like that dude was a great Madden pickup for forever.
Yeah, then you had those Dree Archers.
Yo, Mercedes
Like,
Lewis, Madden GOAT. If you need
yes, yes.
a blocking tight end, Mercedes Lewis is the move.
Because he could also get the ball too.
This
Like
podcast is going
Jerome
off the rails.
We had Rondell Mendez ran a 4.24. We had John Ross. Obviously, there was Marquise Goodwin and Henry Ruggs. Like Ruggs, we can make like obviously we know what happened with him, but he kind of didn't really start off too hot and wasn't all that great.
What
What?
happened with Ruggs?
Oh well, I mean, he decided that he was going to run his 40-yard dash at 120 miles an hour and then kind of do whatever he did. That was a sad day for that family.
That was literally a horrible day.
Yes. And he just tossed his career away after a good season, so it is
Shame.
what it is. But that's why we
Fuck
have the
his career.
combine and we
Fuck
have
his
draft
career.
days because he's easily replaceable and we have more more people to be hype about. I think if we're gonna just place bets on who's gonna be the fastest, who would you say? I think Worthy's probably gonna be up there in terms of
Dude, yeah,
fastest.
Worthy is prime. Like he's prime to cook. And then
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are gonna finally stop having Mitchell over him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mitchell's also going to run pretty fast too, which is going to be annoying because people are. I mean, it's going to be annoying hearing about him, but at the same time, if people are still big on Adonai
Yeah,
Mitchell,
like
that's fine because I'm not
I'm cool with
drafting
getting
him.
Worthy cheaper.
Yeah, or at least just have Adonai push everyone else on the board down.
Yeah, exactly. Like kind of how like Jonathan Mingo did last year.
hmm Yeah, God, thank God I didn't diversify and get one of him anywhere. Don't have to
Yeah,
worry about
I
that.
diversified and got him in like twice, and then I think I got like once for Shire Rice. So
Yeah, my QJ shares though are
don't
very much crying.
remind me. Life
I
is
did manage to get
pain.
rid of him in the middle of the season, but moving on.
Same.
And
And a
then
deal for Austin Eckler and Christian Watson. Random, random.
oh, you did that? You got him? You
Yeah,
got rid of him for both of those guys?
in separate deals, like separate things.
Oh,
But
okay,
yeah,
gotcha. Even still, that's really good. All right. So moving on to tight ends, we kind of just look at everything for tight ends because everything matters. Like they need to be big, they need to be
yep,
fast.
yep,
Like for fantasy purposes, that not for the real world. They do need to be heavy enough and strong enough to be able to block.
yep.
But they probably are the most like they're if we want to talk about the relative athletic score, they have the highest prediction in terms of how tight ends are going to do in the NFL in terms of receiving success, which is what matters for fantasy. Because as we know, like all of the top tight ends that have performed well, and even the ones like your Noah Fants that people want to hold on to, people love them and hold on to them because they are athletic. That's what gives them the upside of being really good at receiving. Because for every Cole Kmet, like don't get me wrong, Cole Kmet is a very good athlete, but he's not the quickest. Whereas we have like Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, David Njoku, like they're all fast tight ends, and we want to see tight ends just be good at literally everything.
David Njoku is a prime example of waiting until the athleticism hits.
hmm
Got to keep betting. Eventually, it'll hit red.
Right. I mean, because if we really think about it, there's been like a few athletic tight ends that have had later career breakouts. Like Evan Ingram's another one that comes to mind. Hopefully, your Noah Fant conviction plays
I'm
a role in
manifesting
this.
it.
But if you're gonna make a bet on a
Manifesting.
tight end
Get
and you
him in
don't know how to
Houston.
look for anything, you need to look for like that's why I also like Jatavion Sanders, just because he was productive, but he's also hopefully going to have an extremely good combine and be very athletic, which
I hope
also
not too good
attributes
though.
to
I want
draft
him to be
capital.
cheap.
Yeah, I don't think that the masses have caught up yet to him. I have seen some people tout him on Twitter, but Twitter we also like have to realize sometimes is just a very small sect of the people that actually
Like
play
four
Dynasty.
of us, just four of us
Yeah,
shouting in a room together at each other,
yeah, exactly. We're all just trying to be better than each other and
and then
not
that
really.
one person in the corner engagement farming.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you have anything to say about QBs. I didn't really add that here because I don't really know what to look for with QBs, just because QBs I always just go with the NFL drafts. I don't have a
Yeah,
process
I'd
with
care more
them.
about opportunity rather than the stuff. I mean, it was awesome seeing Anthony Richardson do what he did last year, though. So if somebody does
Yeah.
that, watch JJ McCarthy just go out and have an absolute demonic combine, and you just.
I
No,
mean,
I'm
that would
just
be
kidding.
good for him in the
That'd be
NFL
awesome.
because if he goes top 10, I'd be very happy to see 4 quarterbacks go top 10,
That'd be awesome. He might go up to 107, maybe even higher in rookie drafts at that point. 100% 107 at least, in my opinion.
which would be good for everybody.
Good for value. Everybody wins.
Mhm.
More value means everybody wins.
I agree. Do you have any closing remarks on anything we talked about today? I know that for the listeners and both of ourselves, this was a much shorter show than we normally have, but we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. We've also
Yeah, it's
been
kind of
quite
getting
busy,
dry out
but
here.
yeah, we don't have
I'm
another
ready for
startup
like
to
I'm
analyze.
ready for the combine to pick things up. So
I know.
get some exciting things kicking up. Plus free agency coming. It's gonna be really busy here soon.
Hmm.
Where do you think Saquon goes?
I mean, I think he is going to have to go to some really good teams. So I'm thinking, I mean, Philly needs a running back. So any of those guys, like Derrick Henry, could go to Philly for all we know.
Hmm.
Saquon could go to
The tush
Philly.
push with
Like,
Derrick Henry.
yeah, that would be
That'd be
nuts.
frightening. Who do
No,
you think the
that would
Ravens
be.
sign? What do you think?
Oh man, dude, I've seen them like talk about franchise tagging Gus Edwards. Like, what are we
That'd
doing?
be crazy.
What are we doing? Like, obviously
Gus
that may
Bus
not
get in the
happen, but I've
bag.
seen so many people say that. Like, literally, the Ravens running back, I'll get whoever's the starter because they're just a run heavy scheme. Always, they
Dobbins
always will be
recovery
as
seems
long
to
as
be going
Harbaugh's
well.
there. But he's a free agent, and we don't know if
Yeah,
they're resigning him. So
I feel like they gotta resign him. Kid tore his Achilles. You gotta a little pity resign. Here you go.
I
We
don't
feel
know.
bad. Come back.
Isn't that what happened? Or no, Akers had signed with re-signed and then tore his Achilles. That's what happened.
I can't believe. Yeah, like he ended up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
What a
No.
career! What a
Or no, he
career
didn't.
arc.
He didn't tear his Achilles in LA, did he?
Yeah,
He did.
he
He
tore it
did something
twice.
else. Oh, he
Tore
did
his
tear it
Achilles
twice.
twice.
Okay.
I think he had
Okay.
different injury thrown in there as well.
Mhm.
He was hurt a lot. That's why I made a
Yeah.
little joke about him earlier. I'm sorry, Cam Akers, if your family's watching.
Yeah.
What's
It was upsetting.
what silly thing
Wanted
should
him
we
to
have the
do
people
well.
comment today?
Well, hopefully we have more than one person commented this time because of how short the show is. But
Oh,
um,
another pick. The
another pick. Who was it?
112 just went after Christian Kirk.
The 112 went that late.
Yeah, 805.
That's nuts.
Yep, I'm up in like seven. I'm not up in a while. Like 7 picks, 8 picks. I'll pick tomorrow.
Hmm.
All
Gotcha.
right, yeah. What should we have them comment?
What was the Dynasty Market Watch thing that you did at the beginning?
Yesterday's price is not today's price. Check out
That
Dynasty Market Watch. Shout out to
Yep,
Brian.
that's gonna be the comment. Just say shout out to Brian in the comments.
Shout out to
Or
Brian.
make sure you guys go check them out. I'll put their links down in the description as well. Their guys are killing it, and Brian is. We obviously have talked about him once or twice. He's a very, very knowledgeable person, and
Yeah, he's a
he's definitely
regular in
great
my
for the
leagues.
Dynasty community. So
Very good.
his team is
Very
looking
good.
pretty good in your startup. What were his
Y-
trades though? Actually we could talk about this afterwards, but I want to know what he did for his trades.
Got you. We can talk about it. Brian
All
does
right.
draft good teams, and he's doing no
Mm-hmm.
different in this one. Except he doesn't have a quarterback two yet, and we're in round 8.
Always does.
So I'm excited to see what happens here.
Well, he'll figure it out. He always does.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll fucking MacGyver something together.
All right.
Have a
Well,
good one,
before
guys.
we head out of here, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys, sub to our Twitter.
Click the
Check out our
button.
Discord. Yeah, click all the links down below. Make sure you guys follow all of our socials, and we'll catch you on the next one. Hope you all enjoyed this little more off the cuff podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Goodbye.